Hello and welcome to the channel. Today I want to talk about the UFC fight night, Hermansson versus Strickland. It's not really a big event because if we try to look at the card, we understand that it's quite poor, but it is what it is. So now I want to highlight some fights that I think will be much interested in this card. I think first of all I want to talk about Sam Alvey. He's a great guy. He has honestly very pure skills, and his chances is not so good in this tournament. He fought against Brandon Allen, and this is fight that I definitely want to watch because yeah, Sam Alvey is quite a person. You can't not love him. Um, he's a smiling guy, and honestly, yeah, his skill set is quite poor. And most importantly for this fight, he's fight as light heavyweight. And honestly, he's not a big middleweight. He's quite skinny and not so long, and never have a lot of muscle. Despite he has knockout power in his hands, yes, he's proved it many times, and he's a good counter striking. But yeah, his chance is not so good in this fight because he's smaller guy, and he can't work he can work only the second number, only counter striking, so not so good chances. But I'm personally gonna root for him, yeah, cheering for Sam Alvey because he's a greedy veteran and he deserves some respect for sure. Next one, which brings some of my attention, is the Shavkat Rakhmonov. Um, he's a very young in his UFC career, but what he brings to the table is have a good promises. He's really long. His anthropometric is good for weight class. He has some muscle. He doesn't look too skinny, and he's good everywhere. His submission is excellent. His striking is very good. His cardio, it's about question because he's never fight 5 rounds yet, but I think yeah, what we saw from him is good cardio, and he has a very good opponent previously. He started with Michael Prazeres, who is just a machine. Yeah, he's a small guy. He's too short for welterweight. I understand that definitely. So the size was the advantage in this fight, but it was his debut. And Michel Prazeres is a guy who has an 8 fight winning streak. So now he's not ranked and he's not considered as a top of a food chain. But I still think that he's a great fighter, Mitchell Prazeres. So it's a very tough fight for the debut. And when he's go to fight Alex Cowboy Oliveira, who is an elite veteran. Again, he's not ranked currently, but still, he has skills everywhere. He has speed, has a huge power, etc., etc. So if we try to, mark his skills, it's really excellent. And Shavkat Rakhmonov passed the test with flight covers. For me, of course, it's interested because he is quite a countryman for myself. He's not from Russia, but he's from our neighborhood country. And before, in the history, we have the same country sometimes. So it's quite a good relationship between our nations. So in my country, he's bring some additional attention to him. And yeah, I really believe in that guy. I think he deserves it. And for me, it will be very interesting to see what he can bring to the table with the development of his career. And if to be honest, we don't know much about his opponent. He's a kind of no name. Um, so we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. There is no bad guys in the welterweight division for sure, because this division is packed very good. So yeah, that's another fight that I'm really interested in. The co-main event, if to be honest, I don't know much about both of these guys. I probably watch it, but I don't know. I don't know. It's not bring my attention a lot. But of course, main event. Main event is the main dishes for us, and this one is really interested. What we have? We have Jack Hermansson and Sean Strickland. Of course, for me, the main guy here is Jack Hermansson. I really believe in that guy, and I think he is a championship caliber of a guy. He is very good, and we talk about that now. Sean Strickland, a bit ago time, he was just a no-name for me. When he was a welterweight, he wasn't ranked. He changed the wins and loses, and he wasn't something special during that time. But he's developed. He has my respect for that. He go to a middleweight, and now he's marching forward. Yeah, and some people talk about his title inspiration. I don't know about that. But let's try to analyze what this main event will bring to us. First of all, of course, we want to talk about the physiques, because the size of the athletes is always matter. And in this case, I think Jack Hermansson have a good advantage. He have 1 inch reach advantage, which is nothing, especially if you consider that Sean Strickland have a very good straight punches, very good jab, long jab, and yeah, reach advantage for Jack Hermansson will not work. Um, it maybe work in the sense that we little bit neglect the reach advantage of Sean Strickland, because actually in the reality the distance from which Sean Strickland can effectively punch is higher than Jack Hermansson, because Jack Hermansson have a lot of looping punches. But if we talk about the size overall, not on the reach and height, but the size of a man. Of course, I don't know about the weight exactly. I think that Jack Hermansson is heavier during the fight night. I hope we will have a diet after the fight, but we could never know for sure. But just visually, his looks much bigger. Not much, but slightly bigger. Because if we try to analyze the size, the Jack Hermansson is the big middleweight. Not a huge middleweight. He's not the size of Luke Rockhold or, for example, Paulo Costa when he fought Marvin Vettori, but he's big. He's really big. And Sean Strickland is not. He's little bit less than normal. I not say he's small, because for me he's a small middleweight. It is, I don't know, Kevin Gastelum or Johnny Hendrickson when he's tried to compete in a middleweight, or Hector Lombard. They are really small. And Sean Strickland is not. He is quite okay size for the weight class, but little bit less than a normal, little bit less than the average. And Jack Hermansson little bit bigger than the average one. So he has a size advantage. It's not critical, but in my opinion, this is very important for this fight because of a game plan, because of what we are going to do. What the main stray what the main advantages for Jack Hermansson is, of course, his grappling. He is a very talented grappler. I not say that he's a good wrestler, because it's not like that, but in a grappling he is world class. World class jiu-jitsu for the MMA. I don't know about his jiu-jitsu competition and how good he's where, it is another world, but for MMA his grappling is adapted perfectly. If we try to consider his striking, his ground and pound, it suits both sides of his game very well. And we saw it in his previous fights. And from this perspective, his advantage in size gives him small advantage in strength. I really expect that Jack Hermansson is a little bit stronger than Sean Strickland. So he has advantage in clinch, he has advantage in grappling exchange, and it might be critical. And overall, if we talk about the Jack Hermansson, he has a very good branch of skills. He has unexpected for me good cardio. His cardio, I believe, in the championship level, honestly. His striking is not. His striking is very unpredictable, very chaotic, but it's not perfect. We all saw that. He did a lot of unnecessary movement. He's tried to fake, yeah, but I don't know if he disrupt himself more than opponent or not with that. So he's not economical in striking at all. But we saw him in a 5 round fights, which go to a decision. It is Ronaldo Souza, it is Marvin Vittori, and he looking good, yeah. His tank was enough to go where and do all the explosive movements that he have, like flying knees, like jumping, moving in and out very fast. And in the 5th round, of course, he slowed down, but not considerable. So yeah, I really respect his stamina. It's his weapon, I believe. Especially if we take into account his size, because like I said, he's a little bit bigger than the average. And usually when you have a size advantage, it decreases your cardio. And for Jack Hermansson is not that way. Unfortunately, his skill set has some problem because he doesn't have a great wrestling, so he can't dictate where a fight is going. And he, like I said, has some striking. He presents some dangers in a striking department for anybody, like a specialist Israel Adesanya. He still have to be aware of unpredictable stuff that Jack Hermansson throw at him. But he definitely has some disadvantages. And that's why he has some problems with a guy like Marvin Vittori. For me, the fight against Marvin Vittori is give a lot of credit to Jack Hermansson. Of course he lost, but Marvin Vittori is a type of guy that perfectly counter the guy like Jack Hermansson because he has a wrestling and he can dictate where a fight can go. If he doesn't want to go to the ground, he can say, okay, we never go to the ground. And all the grappling of Jack Hermansson is go up through a window. It's not completely like that, of course. It's more complicated because even if you have a wrestling advantage, you have to pay attention to your opponent try to take you down, because if you missed a good takedown entry, you will take him down. But basically, it's quite like that. And in the striking, Marvin Vittori is not a great striker as well. He's quite fundamental. He doesn't have a good good kicks. He has only leg kicks, I think, and middle kicks. No high kicks for my money. And his middle kick is not so good as well. Then leg kicks is not perfect as well. So his striking is limited, but it is fundamental and good enough. Yeah, it's better than Jack Hermansson. He have heavy 1-2, heavy jab. It's quite enough to control the fight on the feet. And he did exactly that. He avoided the grappling and destroyed the Jack Hermansson on the feet. And not destroy, it was a competitive fight. You know, I believe it 48-47 or maybe 49-46 for some judges. I think they have some different opinion about that, but doesn't matter. But Jack Hermansson show in that fight, when if he is not in his department, not in a grappling exchange, he can do something against the elite level guys like Marvin Vittori. And most importantly, his gas tank was enough, because Marvin Vittori is a good guy in that meaning too. He has a great gas tank. And of course, if we mention the fight against Jacare Souza, we not try to compare with Jacare Souza of now, because he is 40-year-old guy and he's go down in his career definitely. He slowed down considerably, and I think that Jack Hermansson fight was one of the last performances of Jacare Souza when he was quite himself. And Jack Hermansson passed this test with flying covers. He was at least equal, if not the better, than Jacare Souza and the grappling department, and this is a huge achievement. And on the feet, he was better, definitely better with feet chaotic strikes. And Jacare Souza never known as a good striker, but he's not a bad striker. He has really heavy punches and have some fundamental, especially in the last phase of his career. So yeah, summarize, Jack Hermansson is very good. Especially if he can go to the ground, he's lethal. If he have to stay on his feet, he's good enough. Okay, let's try to switch to Sean Strickland. Like I said, not a long time ago he was a no-name. He started to build a reputation for himself as a contender just right now, just in a not so far ago. What he has? He has a very good boxing. Predominantly, he's striking with a boxing style. He doesn't have a good kicks. Yeah, during his last fights, he used some kicks. He's tried to kick the legs and etc. etc. But three fights before now, I think he have about 95% of striking to the head. And we know Sean Strickland never throw his legs to the head of his opponent. So it was 95% of a hand strike to the head of his opponent. So he was quite one-dimensional. He's developed, of course, and he's tried to improve it. But basically, he's still just a boxer. Problem is, he's a very good boxer. His jab is excellent. His understanding of a distance and of a movement is not excellent, but on a highest level, yeah, for sure. So his path to victory is pretty clear. If he can control the distance and stick his jab to the face of Jack Hermansson, he will win. Or probably disturb Heath with the jab enough to land a good clean straight punch with rare hands or good cross and knock him out. Of course, it have to be accumulation of a damage, because Sean Strickland is not the knockout artist. He can't switch your light off with one punch. But yeah, he has an advantage in a stand-up game. The question is, can Jack Hermansson bring him down? Because Sean Strickland is not a wrestler. He's a guy from England, so we're never good wrestlers. And his wrestling is not his strength, definitely. And I still believe, I mentioned it before, and I think that it is a big factor for this fight, he have a strength disadvantage. So maybe Jack Hermansson can clinch him, dominate the clinches, and bring him down. In this case, and I expect that, Jack Hermansson will win. I give a higher probability to this scenario. Other scenario is that Sean Strickland have the ability to have a distance, because I don't think he can defend the takedowns from clinch, from blessed double. It's not the strong side of a Jack Hermansson, but still, when you have a lot of cardio, when you have a lot of strength, and your opponent not a great wrestler, when you can score a double leg takedown. So I don't expect, I don't know, of course, the reality will show, but I don't expect that Sean Strickland can defend the takedown. But he can control the distance well enough, so Jack Hermansson have never good entry to takedown. And this occasion he will win with his striking. Very few percent where he can knock out Jack Hermansson, but it's possible with the accumulation of the damage. But the possibility that Sean Strickland win by scores is quite good enough. And for Jack Hermansson, of course, the path to victory is grounded with Sean Strickland. Or maybe land something crazy, just because the Sean Strickland will be focuses too much on the distance control and on the takedowns, and Jack Hermansson caught him by surprise. But again, this is a slight possibility to that. So I think that's all for today, and that's all the thought that I have regarding this card. It's not so much interested fight for me personally, but few of them are very interested, so I can wait to saw it live. And we'll see what's gonna happen and what type of my prediction will be played out. So thank you for your attention, and I hope I catch you later. Goodbye, guys.